Housing supply not keeping up with population increase. We talk affordable housing. The experts predict a strong market for the rest of 2019. And news plus numbers for Joliet and Plainfield here on Will County's Real Estate Junkies. Eddie Ruettiger with the Ruettiger Group at Baird Warner, and we're talking about articles, news stories, and things going on in the real estate market nationally and locally that can affect your home value. Starting off with the housing supplies not keeping up with the population increase. So we have a story here that says the home permits issued prior to the Great Recession increased for 15 years until 2005. From 1.12 million in 1990 pre-recession to a peak of 2.16 million in 2005. According to Apartment List, from 1990 to 2005, the number of single-family permits issued more than doubled, while the number of multifamily permits grew by 49%. And you see in our graph and our chart how the number peaked in 2005, and you see the percentage of those were multifamilies, single families, and multi-units that were 5 and more. According to the same data, construction of single family homes has recovered much more slowly. The number of single family housing units permanent in 2008 was barely half of the number permanent in 2015. So we're not seeing these permits being issued. Okay, but why is it important? It's population. As the U.S. population increases, there is a need for more housing, and it's going to continue as we move forward. The biggest issue we're looking at is the total number of resident housing unit that were permanent in 2018 are roughly the same number as 1994. When the population was 20% less. So we're not building enough housing right now to keep up with our current population growth. I've seen information from the CED that supports this at a local level. First off, the majority of our housing in Will County is single family, better than 70%. And we're seeing a push to not wanting to build multifamily, even though we have a huge amount of buyers that do want a multifamily home because of low maintenance, because of snow removal and grass removal, things of those nature that keep the average family moving forward. These buyers are looking for that particular product for whatever their own personal reason is. In the news, HUD is bringing back spot approvals for condominiums, making them eligible for FHA financing. HUD Secretary Ben Carson told Fox Business, previously you couldn't get a single unit unless the whole condominium was approved. So this is greatly going to expand the ability of people to get into housing market at a low price. The new FHA guidelines will take effect October 15th. The city of Crest Hill has changed their rebate policy for property taxes. Some time ago, the city of Crest Hill passed a sales tax, and as part of the sales tax increase, they were to rebate a portion of the city's taxes for properties back to the property owners. However, due to uncashed checks, the city of Crest Hill is now moving towards a policy that the property owner must now fill out a form to apply for the rebate so that they can get it back, and that will be a yearly process. So every year you would be filling out a form and get your check that way, so there's no more checks out there that are uncashed. Trader Joe's is good for your home's value. Having a Trader Joe's near your home does increase your property value. According to Adam Data Solutions, sellers that live near a Trader Joe's realize an average return on investment of an ROI of 51%, while living near a Whole Foods generates 41%, And if you live near an Aldi's, you would get a 34% return on investment. Looking at housing affordability, a recent study by CoreLogic found that the leading obstacle for most buyers considers affordability. So 30.1% in 2008 thought affordability was their biggest obstacle, while in 2019 it seems to be 40%. However, when you look at the National Association of Realtors Housing Affordable Index from 1990 through today, housing affordability is actually doing pretty well. We're at a 150 score for the index, while looking back in the 90s to 2000s, we averaged around a 125 to 130, and in the peak crash between 2008 to 2015, we saw housing affordability at probably its worst ever, reaching in 2012 a score of 197 on the index. The last 2 years we've averaged and held right around the 150 mark. Looking more in depth on this though, look at the typical mortgage amount. Back in January 2000, it was $1,100. March of this year, an average mortgage was $878. Now this is based on a 20% down 30-year rate mortgage. Also, we find there are no taxes figured into this, which also does play into affordability. The bigger thing though is looking at the payments and percentage of income. Historically, the normal amount of your income was 21.2%. However, we have seen that number dip down and seeing an average of 16% to 17% as in the current market. Mark Fleming, First American's chief economist, said, when demand increases for a scarce good, prices will rise fast. The difference between housing and other goods is that we buy them with a mortgage. So it's not the actual price that matters, but the price relative to the purchasing power. So basically it comes down to your house payment versus your income that you're making. And as we continue to see wage growth, that is helping push down and make your the percentage of income and making your monthly payment more affordable. Also, the lower taxes, interest rates have helped. Looking at Mark Fleming one more time, if a 30-year fixed rate mortgage declines just a fraction more, the consumer house buying power will reach its highest level in almost 20 years. When we look at Freddie Mac's recent data, we're seeing interest rates around 3 to 4% on average. So I've seen as low rates as 3.5%. So we are seeing these rates and this increase in wages helping the affordability and helping buyers get into housing. Now your market update, looking at numbers for the city of Joliet area. So we're actually looking at the Joliet area, not the city itself. The difference is do you live in the city or are you just a city of Joliet mailing address? We're going off a mailing address, so unincorporated or anything along those lines would play into these numbers. July average sales price, $173,051. Looking at all housing as a whole, whether it's single family, duplexes, or condos. That is up 4.1% from last year. The average market time is 55 days on market, up 3.8%. And the month supply of housing is actually down 8% to 2.3 months of supply. The average price per square foot is up 5.7% for $111 on the average. The average showings in July were about 7 showings. You were looking at 6.8. That's up 6.2% from last year. Looking at the Plainfield area, once again, the Plainfield area is counting anything mailing address Plainfield. So anything that's down what I call the Caden Farm corridor west of 59, where they are actually City of Joliet properties, but Plainfield mailing address, they go in as a Plainfield area, would be included in these numbers. Average sales price is $273,628, up 3.5%. The average market time is 61 days on market. That is up 10.9%. The average month supply is 2.9 months, up 16%. And the average showings per listing in Plainfield is 7.1, up 1.4%. So the experts are predicting a strong housing market for the rest of 2019. And a lot of it has to do with what we've been seeing already happening. Wages, inventory, and of course, interest rates. Looking, Ralph McLaughlin, Chief Deputy Economist for CoreLogic, we see the cooling down, flattening, or even revising course in the coming months and expect the housing market to continue coming into balance. In the meantime, buyers are likely claiming some ground from what has been sellers' territory over the past few years. If mortgage rates stay low, wages continue to grow, and inventory picks up, we can expect the U.S. housing market further stabilizing throughout the remaining of the year. So what we're seeing here, and what the experts are looking at, is the market coming into market norms finally. So we had this big ramp up from 2000 into 2005, 6, 7 of pricing, and then the economy collapsed because of housing, because of bad mortgage loans and other reasons, and that pendulum swung back the other way. And then we turn around and finally the market recovers, but in the recovery, it swung back this way, and housing prices went back up. Well, now it's swinging back into norms, and historical norms for housing is a 3% gain, roughly, to a 4% gain. And we've talked, I like to see a 4 to 5% gain, but I'm very aggressive. I would, of course, want to see that. I'm in real estate. Lawrence Yun, Chief Economist at NAR, we expect the second half of the year will notably be better than the first half in terms of home sales, mainly because of low mortgage rates. So these low rates are really pushing this second half of this year to actually outpace the first half. So yes, we could have a busier fall and winter than we had a spring and summer. Finally, Freddie Mac. The drop in mortgage rates continues to stimulate the real estate market and the economy. Home purchases demand is up 5% from a year ago, and this has noticeably strengthened since early summer months. The benefits of a low mortgage rate is not only shoring up home sales, but also providing support to homeowners' balance sheets via higher monthly cash flows and steadily rising home equity. And it's helping home equity. And this is one of the things that also hurt the economy during the housing collapse. Because previously, historically, you had home equity to help with starting a business, with college loans for your kids, things of those nature. You didn't have now people are getting back into a normal market where they have that home equity to tap for those important issues, important things. Have a good one.